Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So today we're going to go, this is I guess our second to the last time, we're talking about what differentiates the pros from the amateurs. This is a big deal because oftentimes we're just doing things that we think are the right things to do when we don't understand that we can delineate and differentiate between a total amateur move and really up our game and become pros. You know, and there are things that we can do. There are levels that we can take. And from my experience, and that's what a lot of this that I'm talking to you about, it was a lot of trial and error. And I want to skip a lot of the trial for you and get you right to the meat and potatoes so that you can take this to your next level. We talked about this yesterday with inspired action, and whoa, what a difference it is from just going through the motions, right? Inspired actions encourages us and creates an absolute momentum that is magical and all on its own. It means everything. It means everything. And you'll notice the difference and you will see the results as a result. Yeah, this is why I love Inspired Action. If you have not seen that show, I strongly suggest that you watch yesterday's show and then watch this one again, because it's really going to give you that 1-2 punch that you need. So you ready for this? There we go. Well, first of all, the pros know that it's not in the details. It's in the specifics, not details. And if you think for a minute, doesn't that sound kind of the same thing, like the same thing? It's really not. And I'm going to take you through this, illustrate it for you, and show you how you can use this tool to move forward. Because here's the deal. And this is where, you know, this is the separation line. When we get stuck in the details, then we can't get on to what's next, okay? And that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So we took a deep dive into Inspired Action, what it is, how to get there, and how to use it to move the needle in your life, period, and full stop right there. But today we're going to piggyback on top of that, the specifics, and switching our focus to specifics, and why it's important to not confuse specifics with the details. That's massive. So this is the preamble to all of this. However, it's only the starting gate. It is only the starting gate because your Inspired Action really is everything. Hi, Lynn. I'm glad you're here. So number one, in order to get there, in order to get to this place of Inspired Action and able to go from details into specifics, which I'm going to take down even further and give you examples, write down these three things, okay? The first thing is that you need to have a goal that absolutely lights you up. You know what that is. What does light you up mean? Light you up means that you get excited about it. You emote over it. It's like you're going to go and watch a boy band like a preteen, okay? Like, oh, I can't wait. I can't sleep. Like a 5-year-old waiting for Christmas. You know how emotional our children get over these kind of things? We lose that kind of emotional stuff. We get our emotional and stuck on problems instead of being solution-oriented or event-oriented like our kids are. I want you to get event-oriented over what could be. That's your goal. What could be? Can you imagine? You can see yourself. And of course you're doing this. All those things, those little triggers in your mind that help you to create a pathway in your head so that you can actually get there. Removing the obstacles, because there's a lot of pushback. We always have that. All of us do. Pushback is a natural thing. However, when we understand that we can be the boss of our own brains and we can get rid of some of those obstacles merely by doing some of these things that we're going to be talking about, then we can get to the goal so much faster instead of all the trial and error. I mean, I did this for a number of years of like, I'm going forward. Oh my gosh, 20 steps back. I'm going forward, 30 steps back. Can you imagine? Can you imagine all of that? It's insanity, total insanity. Hi, Debbie and Susan, good to see you. So this is exactly why we talk about this stuff, because getting this goal, getting yourself all lit up by the goal is absolutely first and foremost. If it's something you're not excited about, how on earth are you ever going to take inspired action? Right? Number 2, your why has to be so much bigger than your excuses. That so much so that you are willing to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning if need be for that. You're willing to figure out what the night before is going to have to look like in order for you to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Do you remember when Sarah Preston was starting on her whole thing with, I'm going to move, I'm going to do all of these things? So she figured it out. She sat down and she made the end goal her goal, and she reversed engineered it. That meant she had to go to bed early. That meant she needed to get up early, rather. So what does that mean? Where's her sleep going to come from? She's going to have to go to bed early. So she reversed the whole thing and just did it. Now, I want you to also notice too, and like I said, go back, put people's names. Put Sarah Preston in there, put Joanne Althaus in there, put everybody, put Jocelyn's name in there, Marguerite's, put their names in there and go look at their testimonials. It's unbelievable. There's a little search thingy in there that'll tell us how. And maybe what we can do too is, are you listening, my team, my darling team, Amber, Jenny, Lindsay? Go in there and bump up those testimonials if you would. Just put a word bump and that'll bring the testimonials to the top so everybody can see them. But there were no excuses on those testimonials. They might have struggled. They might have had a hard time with it. But you know what? The vision that they had for themselves was more important than all of their reasons why they couldn't do it. And let's just face facts. We can all find reasons why we can do it, but we can also find reasons why we can as well. That was huge. So you need a goal to set you up. 2, you need your why to be bigger than your excuses. And number 3, despite the inconvenience or the discomfort of the whole thing, you're willing to do it. That's how you get inspired action, because that goal is letting you up and taking you to the next level. So there's a significant dynamic going on once you've launched your goal. Huge, significant. You're fired up. You're taking inspired action. You're watching. You watched yesterday's show and you're saying, yes, that's all about me. It's incredible. Now, here's the part. This is the part that I want you to take note of, because this is the thing that's going to change it all. Okay? And that is understanding that you are into specifics, but not into details. Okay. Here's my illustration. I shared with you this, right? That right there is my vision board, okay? My vision board that lit me up, that put me on fire, everything. You've seen me show pictures of my deck, my lake, my dock, everything. Does it look anything like this? Does it? It looks nothing like this. Nothing. That's because I didn't get hung up on the details of what this looked like. I was all about the specifics. The specifics were, I want a house on a lake with a dock for a boat. Boop, da 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 da. Over and over and over again. It was written in my journal. I spoke about it. I emoted about it. I made voice memos about it. I went and saw real estate that I could not at all afford, but I wanted to get into the groove of it. I was all about the specifics. I could have cared less about the details. Do you see how important this is? Do you see the differentiator? Because what does this tell you? What does this tell you? This tells you, oops, right there. This tells you that this is the vantage point from a house. And I remember when I cut this picture out and I said, that's what I want. The vantage point of somebody standing at their house on the deck or whatever, looking out, seeing that lake, seeing that dock. And maybe there's a boat there. I don't know, but I have a boat. I mean, it didn't come with a boat, but we bought one. There it is. There it is. All about the specifics, nothing about the detail. Nothing. I wasn't hung up. It's got to have a dock that looked like this, or it's got to have grass in the front, or I needed to make sure that the dock was 8 feet long and not 20 feet long, or what. I mean, none of it. Just that this is what I wanted. This was the blurry picture of what it looked like. You got me on that? That was a huge differentiator. Huge, huge, huge. Because once I let go of the details, I was able to grasp the concept of what it is that I wanted, and also start going with the why matrix and digging deep to what was the why. Just so Mark and I could sit here and get a dog and enjoy it. No, I mean, if it weren't for COVID, there would be people here. People here doing this very thing. My whole thing is I want to open my home. I want to have people here in my house. I want to hold retreats here. We have the capability of doing that here. Small ones, but nonetheless, we have the capability. And that was everything. And I put that out there. So none of these things, everything is a detail on what that would look like. Everything was a detail. It didn't need to look like that. It needed to be, the visualization that I had was this blurry dock with a blurry lake from the vantage point of looking out from the house. That's it. That was it. I didn't know that the house would look like this. I didn't know it would be here. I didn't know so many different things. And it did not matter. When I finally let go of that, I was able to go that much faster to get to this particular thing. And don't you know that things fall into place as you start to let go of the things that seriously don't matter and allow yourself to go to the place of just being massively excited for something that you're not quite sure what it looks like, but you have an idea. You have an idea. And that's all I needed. That was all I needed. So my view is different because that's a detail, but the specifics are all on point. House, water, dock, boat. Boom, just there, all lands. So that's why we have to understand that this is the specifics, that being focused on the specifics is important, and allowing for the details, that's God's work, and that's an act of faith right there. And just knowing that He's got the whole world in His hands. Don't you think He's got your little world in His hands too? Don't you think? I know He does. So what we do is we hold tightly to this idea of what it is that we want to have and accomplish in our lives. We hold tight to that. But we also allow God to fill in all of the details. So I think about it this way. You've seen this before, where you've got the connect the dots thing, where you're going one, you can't figure out what it is until all of a sudden it just starts to make perfect sense, right? You didn't see it before, but you see it now because you've gone enough ways around to figure out that's a big Mickey Mouse or whatever it is that you're connecting the dots on. You don't know what the full picture is until you just follow the steps. You have to go from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 and 3 to 4. That's how you make that full picture. And it's the same thing, if we use the metaphor of a puzzle, we always start with the edges because the edges are the supportive part of the whole thing. We look at the box to get an idea of where everything should go, so that we know what we're putting together. Oh, this is a picture of a lake house here, or this is a picture of a fall scene or a brook or a waterfall, whatever. This is how we do this. And this is how we put all of that stuff together. So this is what pros do. They get that faith without works is dead. Amen. Faith without works is dead, but they have the faith that God is going to fill in and help with connecting all those dots. You could use coloring, for example. Have you ever given a kid a page and some crayons, and then you've got one and you're doing them together, and they see Mickey Mouse as being green. You don't. You see him as being black and having a big red bow tie, right? You see him in a certain way and they say, we just allow for the details to unfold in front of us. Isn't it so great? And it is an act of faith. Those details are up to him. And you know what? One thing that I know is he loves to surprise and delight his people. He loves us. Yes, he's got the whole world in his hand, and he's got your world in his hands as well. So when we can recognize and realize that God is the one in the details and allow for those details to be held loosely, the God of the universe, the creator of all things, is going to create exactly and specifically the world that you need to be living in. Period. If that means a smaller pair of jeans, so be it. Does it have to be this size jeans and this, all of this, whatever? I mean, if that's your goal, if you have a goal of some weight loss, does it have to be that exact thing? Or can it just be, I see myself, I'm walking into a party and everyone's going to say, hey, you look really great. Hey, and you're feeling really good and you're feeling confident. And for the first time in a very, very long time, you feel good in your own skin. Is that enough for you? Or does it have to be specific? Do you feel me? You see where we're going with all of that? Because, you know, you have a hot desire for something. Don't allow very, very intricate details to get in the way of God doing something to surprise and to delight you. And that's what I mean by being very specific, but allowing the details to be filled in later. So, and I also think that once we get past our need for everything to be perfect, that's the details, then we can begin to get specific, because I believe that that's being excellent. That's where it gets fun. That's where it's almost a game. And that is a fast track to building that bridge. We all have a gap in our lives, all of us, some more than others, some bigger than others. But there's gaps, and we have to be committed bridge builders, committed. And when we're committed, you know, we get to be loving on the specifics of letting go of the details and just letting God do his thing, because he delights in doing that. Do you get that? If you get it, pinkies up. I'm telling you, this is a game-changing detail. I use that word. That will help you as you go forward with inspired action. Pros know this. Don't be a Leanne and make it take 3, 4, 5 years to really get this. Allow for it, because when I finally understood this, I'm telling you, whoop, there went my gap. Just short term. It didn't have to be exactly that. It just needed to be, I knew, and then there it was. That's what God does. He delights in his people. He delights in you. Do you love that? I sure hope so. I love that, because that one, you know, when I finally got that, I got it. And it just, boom, connected everything together. And, you know, when I finally was able to articulate it, I couldn't wait to tell you about it. So pinkies up. Let's go out and be a pro. Leave the amateur stuff alone. And allow God to get into the details of what it is that you want to surprise and delight you, because he will. That's what he does. Peace be with you. I appreciate you so much. I'll see you tomorrow for Q&A. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.